Welcome to another episode of the Old Paratrooper podcast. But before we get started, I want to talk to you about our sponsors, Veterans for Veterans. If you left the military after 1987 and your hearing's taken a knock from your time in the services, click the link in this video. No win, no fee. See if you're eligible.
Welcome to another episode of the Old Paratrooper podcast, a podcast where we talk to a wide variety of guests from all walks of life with fascinating stories, all with the main goal of raising awareness for mental health issues amongst the veterans communities and emergency services communities. Today's guest, we have local Nottingham lad and property guru, Leeroy Wheeler. How you doing, Leeroy? All right?
I'm good, Chris, my friend. I'm good, mate. How are you, pal?
I am really well. Thank you very much for taking time to come on. It's always appreciated when people make time to come on a podcast. So thank you very much.
My pleasure, brother. My pleasure.
Nice one. Nice one. Well, as I said to you off air a minute ago, what I like to do with all the podcasts is I like to start at the beginning, get a bit of a background about the guest, where they grew up, what they were like as a kid, and then kind of what led them down the path that they did in their chosen career. So yeah, over to you. Whereabouts you from, Leroy?
So originally, I grew up on the Bestwood estate, or Edwards Lane estate in Nottingham. And so I'm just an original council kid. My mum still lives in the same house that I was born in 45 years ago. So she's council through and through, and she'll never leave that estate. But obviously, I developed and just kind of moved on from there. But got a few brothers that are still on that estate, and yeah, I love them the same way. But yeah, I just chose a different path in life.
I know that estate well. I lived on the edge of it myself, but it was kind of
Yeah.
historically and quite a well known as being quite a rough estate back in the day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a real rough area. I used to call it Spike Island back in the days. So like, I say Edwards Lane, but it's Edwards Lane, Bestwood, it's all kind of rolled into one. And yeah, like certain families that run certain areas up there, and you know, you either went one way or the other in that area. And I obviously, my dad kept me on the straight and narrow growing up, and
Well,
I had to.
yeah, well, I talked to you about this before. So I lived on Sherbrooke Road, which is obviously just on the edge of kind of Edwards Lane Estate, and your old man ran the shop at the top of the road. So I've had
Yeah,
many conversations with your old man going in there and chatting to him when he ran that shop and stuff like that. So I remember him with fond memories, pal.
yeah, it's still going strong. He's 82 now, but yeah, that was my strict upbringing. He got that shop from when I was 5 years old, and I ran that shop for my dad from when I was 9, 10 years old. Literally, I worked 40 hours a week until I was 17 years old. Every day after school at 3:30, I had to be in that shop until 8 o'clock at night. And then I used to say to my dad, "Why can't I hang around with my friends on the corners? Why can't I just do this? Why can't I do that?" And he said, "You'll understand one day, so you'll understand one day." And I'm glad I did. And that's the path that he took me on, you know. Grind hard, work hard, and things will work out hopefully the way you want them to be. I weren't the best of students at school, left school with no GCSEs or anything like that. So, but what I have got is a good work ethic, and you know, I like I'm a problem solver, not a problem finder. So I like situations I can deal with.
Yeah, it is. I do hear that a lot about people. I don't mean to repeat myself when I talk about this on podcasts, but I think it's a big thing that we talk about is people are not necessarily always geared going through the schooling system and being sort of, you know, fit the mold with the school system. And the reason I say that is because I am the same. I left school with zero qualifications. School wasn't for me. I didn't
Yeah,
learn like a lot of the probably other students would have done. It was all like white noise coming in. I couldn't take it in.
yeah.
But I feel like I've done all right outside of school and I've gone down my own path. And obviously, you had a knack for kind of going, which we'll come on to, in a different avenue and perhaps not the normal academic way. Would that be probably a good way of putting it?
1000%. Yeah, I don't class myself as academically no genius, but I will deal with whatever comes my way, and I will graft, whether it's 2 hours a day, 18 hours a day, whatever it be. I thought my upbringing was going to be fruit chops. I thought my life was set out in that way because obviously that's the industry my dad brought me up in, and that's all I knew. And I was I was the youngest person in England to get a liquor license. I went to Nottingham Crown Court in 1997 to get a liquor license, and they refused me because you used to have to go to the local magistrates courts. and they refused my license because I was inexperienced. I was only 18 years old in 2 days. Anyway, after a lot of back and forth, we managed to get a license. I put my mum on the license with me, and I got a shop in Kelverton, which is still going now. I don't own it. It's still called Wheelers, but I had that from 1998 onwards. And that's where I thought I was going to make my money been in the off license world, but obviously things then took a massive change, and I ended up in property all by accident.
So
So
was that kind of the first sort of introduction? Obviously, you talk about your dad sort of pointing you in that direction, having a shop and stuff like that. So was that kind of like your first sort of venture into the business world? Was the first shop in Calverton when you left school? Yeah.
yeah, 100%. So my dad had a friend called Mr. Cooper. He used to be a partner in Co-op Insurance, so a very well financial man. And he borrowed me a sum of around about £30,000, and this is 1998, so £30,000 is a big sum with no guarantee
Yeah,
he's going to get the money
absolutely.
back. Because I had nothing to guarantee he's going to get the money back. This is an old white gentleman who, do you know what I mean, who my dad met when he first come to the country from Jamaica. And then my dad was always good friends from there. And a lot of people, my dad thought my dad had finances. My dad really had no finances because my dad used to drive a Jag and he had a number plate called WW. And everyone used to think my dad had a lot of money. But as my dad used to say, coming from Jamaica, that his car was his world. And that's all he had. So my dad didn't really have the finances to back me up. My mum definitely didn't have the finances to back me up. So Mr. Cooper, you know, he financially backed me. And when I was 18, about 18 and a half, I was in about £45,000 worth of debt. I was working 3 jobs. I had my shop, my off license. I used to work the doors, and I used to do a paper round at 4 o'clock every morning, taking the papers from W.H. Smith's to the shops to sell. We used to get about £500 a week, which is good money. It's only like 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I was working all these crazy hours, trying to get myself out of debt for about 18 months. And then how I got into property is basically my partner at the time, which is a woman called Carly Court, who I've got a daughter with now, who's my daughter's mum. She fell pregnant. I was 20 years old at the time. And I was living at home with my mum. I didn't want to live at home with my mum no more, but at the time I couldn't get a mortgage because my partner, she's pregnant. You needed 3 years worth of books to get a mortgage. I didn't even know about mortgages. I didn't know nothing about property. I just wanted a place to live. So I ended up buying a property on Leybourne Drive in Bestwood, and I paid £14,500 for this property. It
Wow.
just happened to be a repossessed property from a company called Bradford and Bingley. I was like, £14,500, that's fine. I'm not involved in property. I don't know nothing about property at this stage. So I bought this property for £14,500. I spent £3,000 doing it up, and I bought this property on a credit card. And when I say I bought it on a credit card, what I did, got a credit card, got interest free for 2 years. So I got another credit card, bought on one credit card, took the £14,500 on it, took that balance from there, from A, put on balance B, and then I was interest free for 2 years. Didn't cost me a penny for 2 years. Well, it weren't going to cost me a penny for 2 years. So I initially got a property free. I thought, hey, I'm going to work the system now. But I thought this is the house I'm going to live in. But I didn't even know about mortgages or anything at this time. Like I said, I'm 20 years old. And then my partner, Carly, as I said, I was working the doors, and so every weekend I was away working the doors, and she hated it. Was always burning cars out, always joyriding around there, like real bad joyriding, crashing cars into houses and just setting them alight. She hated it. She was from a village called Kelverton at the time, which was so happened to be where my shop was. She said, Leeroy, I can't stand it. I'm scared. I don't like being here. It's not for me. So I thought, all right, I'll sell the house. I put the house up for sale. So I put the house up for sale on the Monday. Somebody come around, viewed it on the Monday, and it's bad for them. The same company I bought it off. Keeping in mind, I paid £14,500. I'd only had the house 3 months. They turned around to me and says, yeah, we can sell this. Get £59,000 for it. I went, what? Yeah, let's just sell £59,000. I went, no way. I only paid £14,500 for it. It stands me at £17,000 or £17,500. Put it for sale on the Monday. Monday afternoon, the property gone for £59,000. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. So, property gone for £59,000. And on the same day, a property across the road from my mum's house, now this is a estate that I grew up on, Edwards Lane, on Longmead, come up for sale. I used to live at 92 Longmead. My mum lived at 100 Longmead. Sorry, my mum lived at 92. The house across the road, number 100, come up for sale for £17,500. just happened to be a repossessed property again. So I bought this property for £17,500. Sorry, let me rewind a bit. Sorry. So the first property that I sold, it sold within 2 months. But all the paperwork had gone through. So I've gone to my accountant, told my accountant, I've sold this property. How much tax do I need to pay? X, Y, Z. I'm new to all this. She said, oh, you don't pay no tax. I said, what do you mean you don't pay no tax? She says, it's your own private residence. It's where you live. If you sell it, buy it for £1, you sell it for £1,000,000, you don't pay no tax. It's like, wow. So I've been working 3 months for 18-hour days, and I ain't earned £20,000. I've just made £40,000 in this one property, and it's tax free, so it's equivalent to making £60,000 after tax. So I'm thinking, this is crazy. But I'm still in a lot of debt, so I've paid off some of my debt now, and I bought this second house for £17,500. When I've been in there in the same period of time, my partner Carly, she got offered a house by the local authority, and it happened to be in Kelverton. She wants to be back in Kelverton, so she took this house. She's gone back to Kelverton. I've kept this house, and I've refurbished this house. I lived in this house for about 3 or 4 months. So she's in her house, I'm in my house. Then I decided I'm going to go live with Carly in her house. So I put my house up for sale. I sold that for £79,000. I'm like, that's it. I'm getting into property game now. So same thing. I've made £60,000 on one property, £40,000. I made it under £1,000 in 9 months, tax free. I think this is we're probably in that year 2001 now. And I'm thinking, this is crazy money. And I find it's all tax free, and then I just hit the ball running with property from there onwards.
Wowzers. I mean, would you say there was an element? Well, obviously you stumbled into it and you discovered
Yes.
there's obviously money to be. But do you think the time in which that happened was probably on your side as well? Because early 2000s, late 90s, there was a bit of a property boom as such. Do you think that probably plays into, helping?
100%, 100%. But there's always a property boom. So when I say there's always a property boom, I was in it for the next 6 or 7 years, but I was only buying and selling houses. So hindsight, I wish I never bought and sold houses. The first house I just said to you about Leybourne Drive, that house has just sold for £202,000. Just
Wow.
sold again for £202,000 last year. House in Bestwood Estate. House across my mum's sold for £210,000 18 months ago. So property prices are always going to increase, and that's where your wealth is in property, is holding onto your assets. So come 2007, 8, we had the property crash again, and it hit a lot of people, and it crashed hard by like 30% overall. So as of 2008, I started buying and holding onto all my assets. So I don't sell any properties after 2008. I haven't sold anything, and I ended up buying a lot of houses in a village called Kelverton at the time, where he was buying 2 3-bed houses between £60,000 and £75,000. I still hold all them houses now. And you can't buy a house in Kelverton now for less than £250,000. Ex pit house, ex anything. A house done up is £250,000. Period. Do you know what I mean? So we just hold on to all our assets now. But don't get me wrong, I did get into the right time. But no matter what, if I got into it now and I said it in 10 years' time, it would have been the right time getting into it now. Do you understand what I mean? It's just knowing how to refinance them properties and get your money in and out. I would say the last 75 houses I bought after 6 months, every single house I bought hasn't cost me a penny. It's free. And I'll happily explain to anybody the blueprint of I would buy them, refinance it, refurb them, refinance them, and get my money in and out of every single one. I would say 95% of my properties, I get all my money out of it after 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So every property and this year, usually we do about 10 to 12 properties. This year, I've done 16 properties already since the 1st of January. So we're on target to have our best year so far.
Wow. So I suppose, well, you're classed now as an entrepreneur, and it's not. I suppose that's not what you wanted to kind of be, or the route that you kind of took. But have you? It sounds like you've just learned. Have you had any advice, or have you just literally learned as you've gone?
100%, I've just learned as I've gone. So the property thing, I use a property guru. This is like the new, it's like a Bitcoin sensation. For the last 10 years, it's been good to be, everyone's either in Bitcoin or property. Do you understand what I mean? And obviously I was in it way before even the internet was about. So it's just learning step by step by step. I've never I've never had no mentor, no nothing. Do you understand what I mean? I've never paid to go on no courses. And this is why, anybody, like on my social media, I'll always say to people, reach out to me. I'll tell you exactly how I do it. Because as far as I'm concerned, the pie is big enough for all of us to eat. Do you understand what I mean? And you getting involved in another 10, 50 other people getting involved in it, it's not going to affect me. Do you understand what I mean? That's, I've got enough to do what I'm doing. Do you understand what I mean? We come across deals every week, maybe 15 properties a week that I could go at, but obviously I can't go out. I just haven't got a team or the manpower to do that many. And I wouldn't want to do that many now because it's not, for me, it's not about the finances no more. One thing that COVID did teach me, it's more about the quality of time in life. Do you understand what I mean? If I'm always chasing the money, I'm done. Do you understand what I mean? I've seen this thing, you know, time without money is useless. Money without time is useless. It's just getting a counterbalance of both of them. Do you understand what I mean? And I've got the finances now, so now I like to enjoy that with my family. Like last year, I think we did like 15, 16 holidays last year. But it's just having time with my son. Unfortunately, with my daughter, we were out with Carly, and Carly runs my property company still now. We're still best of friends. Uh, Unfortunately, I financially spent a lot of money on my daughter. If she wanted the new phone or the new clothes or whatever, she could get that straight away because I didn't have much time then. Where now my son, he gets on my time. Do you understand what I mean? Like I will take him to school every morning. I will pick him up from school. I'll take him to all his taekwondo lessons. I get a lot more quality time with that, and that's what I do enjoy a lot more.
Yeah, and it's a very, very good point that you've touched on there is, money isn't everything, but it enables you to have a good quality of life. And I say this all the time, I don't want to be kind of super rich or anything like that. I just want it sort of the finances ought to be in a position that enables me to do the things that I want to do, which for me is spending time with my kids and to go and travel and see lots of different places. You need money to do those things to make yourself comfortable, don't you?
Yeah, what 100% you do, 100% you do. You see, and obviously, us doing that, that just enables us to do the better things in life. But it's more the quality of things in life. It's not, I very rarely fly first class or anything like that. A lot of people take the piss at me. Why don't you fly first class? I'm just tired like that. I'm getting A to B. It's the same thing to me. But I like the quality time I get now with my mom, my dad, mainly my kids. Do you understand what I mean? And that gives me the accessibility to do that. The finances do. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from with that. So, kind of moving forward, I know you've got a lot of properties. I've known of you quite often. So we bumped into each other. I never really spoke to you till recently, till I kind of got you on the podcast. But you was at a boxing event I was at. Let's talk about the fitness side of thing as well, because you're on a plan at the minute. And the reason I talk about that because we know a mutual friend. I've done a couple of plans with Scott. Are you on a plan with Team Freaks and Scott at the minute?
I am right now. Yeah, I am. I
I've been
am. So
following the
and
process. You're doing
yeah,
really
and
well with it.
I spoke to Scott about this the other day as well. Mentally, I think Scott got me into one of the best shapes I've ever got into. But mentally, not only physically, but mentally. Like I had my best business year this year, but I was on a 12-week diet plan from the 6th of January, and I stuck to it to a T, absolute T. Like every bit of food he's told me to take, when he's told me to take it, when he's told me to, I've done. And that then focus, it was like it passed down to my business. And my business, I'm like, wow, I've done all these properties already. And like the staff are saying, you calm down buying these properties. Like, and I'm like, because I was mentally in such a good place, like physically, it passed it down onto my business. And I specifically said this to Scott Knowles over there. Do you understand what I mean? Thank you very much for putting me in that position. Do you understand what I mean? Because if your mental clarity is there, because of the way I feel and the way I see myself, it just passes down onto other avenues in my life. Do you understand what I mean? One of them being my business, one of them being my relationship with my wife. I've been with my wife 23, 24 years. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, no,
So yeah,
I do fully understand that, and I've done 3. I'm just about to start on Monday, the 3rd one, because I've got a bit fluffy. And
yeah,
I'm just about to start one on Monday with Scott, and you're right there that when you're in good shape, when you're eating healthy, the water's massive as well. When you're drinking water, I worked out the first time I did it with him that I think I've been dehydrated for about 40 years.
yes,
When you start drinking water, you kind of the mental clarity and everything of eating healthy, but especially the water, getting out in the fresh air for your mental health, getting in the gym, having that purpose. I think you're right. it does reflect in every walk of life, doesn't it? In every part of your life.
It's a complete game changer for me. Yeah, 100%. Like Scott will always now be in my life, whether I go on with him. I think this now is like a 10-week one, but I'll probably itch him up twice a year just to keep me in play. But it's the same thing. Me and Scott are friends. I've known Scott for many years. Do you understand what I mean? But I'm one of these guys that I always want everything done yesterday. Scott's like, no, listen, trust the process. And I have to say to us, trust the process. I'll do what this says. I'll go along and do it as it says. And he's done it. Like you said, the boxing event near what I seen you at last year is Mark Bell, who was a fireman. Me and Mark, we used to fight for the British team, 1995. So I've known Mark. We did our black belt together. Well, actually, he did his second, and I did my black belt in 90. Went to America and we did it in 95, 96. And Mark's dad used to be my coach. So it's a small old world. Yeah, see.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
small,
Well,
small.
I went to school with Scott, secondary school. We weren't always best of friends.
Yeah.
I'll let it tell you the story of how we kind of ended. We were far from friends at one stage, but we're good friends now. And obviously, Mark, I'm in the same sort of service as Mark, and obviously I've sparred Mark. We boxed on the same sort of shit. So you're right. It is a small world, and I have bumped into you at the gym from time to time.
Yeah.
And I've also seen you cutting around in your Lambo. So I was a bit like, right, I want to talk to that podcast. I also did, the property you had on Mansfield Road with the Wheelers, the big property before you moved around where you
Yes.
moved. I did the windows there once with Mike. You might know Mike, who used to
Okay.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did the window on the side. I did a bit of window stuff, but not
Got
anymore.
you.
So I can't be doing with that. Too cold in the winter for on the hands, so I can't be arsed with that.
People in the winter. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree with you.
not that.
I agree with you.
Now back onto the property. So we touched on there about the property market taking a bit of a hit. How much did that affect you as a business when things start to slow up in the property market, and obviously the bit of the property market crash? How did that affect you?
So it doesn't really affect me because I hold on to my assets. So if you are in a position where you're a developer, let's say you're building something and it takes you a year to build it, it can affect you hard. Do you understand what I mean? Or if you're flipping properties and then buying them and selling them, that it affects them people. Because obviously you're thinking it's worth £200,000 and the market crashes, it's worth 160. That's your £40,000 profit gone out the window. Do you understand what I mean? But because I hold on to all my assets, it doesn't affect me as long as I don't over leverage myself. When I say over leverage myself, I don't borrow too much. So a general buy to let mortgage, you have to put a 25% deposit down. So let's say you buy a house for £100,000, you'll put £25,000 down. The mortgage company will give you the other £75,000, and that's it. And then it'll be set on a 5-year deal, so it won't change in them 5 years. Do you understand what I mean? One thing that's going to be guaranteed is that property price is going up. So houses I generally buy in deprived areas, and I buy low end market value. So mine are all generally 2-3 bedroom houses, and they're all around about roughly when I bought them the £100,000 to £150,000 mark. Do you understand what I mean? So I buy the low end market, and then I hold on to them assets, and I will mortgage them for 5 years. So I'll take a 5-year deal out of them, so I know exactly what I'm paying for 5 years, and then so what I bought in 2020 until 2025, I know the exact repayment is going to be each month. And then come 2025, depending on where that interest rate has changed, that's when I need to kind of worry. Do you understand what I mean? So now we are what any property investor has been around now for the last 10 years. He thinks is a high interest rate. It's not. It's still a low interest rate because before 2008, the average interest rate was 6.5%. It's just since the last 15 years, people think this interest rate of 0.1% or 0.5% is an end thing. It's not. That was just short term, and we're never getting them back again. We may go down to 3% at some point. Do you know what I mean? But it's never going back to where it was. Do you understand? I mean, everyone's in property and base their business on that. They may have issues. Do you know what I mean? But I obviously the old mentality is I was always working around the 6%. And the average now interest rate for me is about 5.5% on a buy-to-let mortgage, because you pay about 1% above the base of England base rate. So if they're 4%, you'll pay 5%. So it doesn't really affect me neither at all, as long as I've not got to sell my assets. So the only way it would affect me, if let's say I bought a house in 2020 and it's gone down from £100,000 to £80,000, then the mortgage company are going to say to me, "Oh, you need to make up that £5,000." But it's not. The property price are generally 99% going to go up in England as a rule of thumb in England, it goes up 4.8% a year roughly. But if you're either buying like the private areas, you can get 10-12% increase a year. Houses I was buying in Sutton and Mansfield in 2020, I just bought one on Morley Road. And in 2019, I bought it for a company called Barnes. I paid £42,000 for this property. I own 3 properties on this road. I just bought another one. Barnes, it went off Barnes. It was off Temples. I've just paid £100,000 for it. Same properties, same condition, but it's doubling in value. But it's gone up by 120%.
Wow.
I've still got to do the same amount of work to it. And then properties that I paid £40,000 or £42,000 are now worth £135,000. This house here, I've got to spend £5,000 on it, so I'll make £30,000 profit. But there's still money out there to be made. Do you understand what I mean? But property prices will always go up.
Yeah.
But they just can't. It's just like it's inflation. It's bread and milk. It's like bread and milk and everything, but property's just on a bigger scale. Do you understand what I mean? So you just notice it. You just see it a lot more. And unfortunately, people's wages aren't increasing as fast as property prices are increasing.
Yeah, but
And
I think what's kind of not annoyed, is like, people that want to kind of branch into it. The government have kind of really sort of, what it would appear, to crack down on people that are just trying to, the smaller business that maybe want 1 or 2 properties to literally, like a pension fund, with the stamp duties and everything else. They just seem to have made it really, really difficult for the average kind of person,
one
just kind of, you know.
1,000%. So in 2019, the government brought in a thing called Section 24. Section 24 is the government. You now get only landlords this happens to. You get taxed on your turnover, not your profit. So if you're a private investor and you rent out a property for £1,000 a month, but your mortgage is £500 a month, your interest is £500 a month. So really, you're making £6,000 a year, not £12,000 a year. The taxman comes after you for the full £12,000. Now, if you're a 40% taxpayer, there's no use in being property. You're in negative equity. You're losing money. So that's why a lot of people now, but it's only if the property in your own private name. So a lot of people now put it into a limited company. So half of my properties are in a trust, half of them are in a limited company, and half of them in my personal name, unfortunately. But yeah, they put so many stipulations in to prevent people from being private landlords. You know what I mean? But on the flip side to it, they're begging for properties. If I could get 10 properties a week to rent out, I could rent them out all day long. And it's to the local authorities, Nottingham City Council, Mansfield City Council, and they pay above rates. They're even doing guarantors now, which they've never done before. So I can go to Mansfield City Council, say, rent my property out to them to top price they'll pay for £1,000, and then they will guarantee it for 3 years. They're the guarantor. It's crazy.
We need, whether there's anyone in it or not.
Yeah, whether there's anybody in it or not.
Wow.
So it's crazy, but they will put people in it. Do you understand what I mean? But yeah, there is obviously different avenues. I'm just what I call myself a vanilla buy-to-let. I just have basic 2 or 3 bedroom houses, and just normal family lets. I don't have HMOs. I've got a couple of supported living, but I'm not big on them. But the cash flow is a lot better on them and HMOs. But yeah, I'm more about the olden assets. I'm not really bothered about the cash flow, what they bring in each month. I'm more about the increasing value of my portfolio over time. So
Well,
a fine example.
yeah, there's been like, and this is not from me. Like, I don't begrudge anyone trying to make a better life for themselves with a business, but there's been a lot of criticism by people that's saying that, like, property developers buying up lots of properties.
Yep.
It's in properties. It's pushing up the housing market. Do you believe that's a thing, or do you think that's just, again, government scaremongering to try and put people off and stuff like that?
I think it's government scaremongering. Do you understand? I mean, they always want somebody to blame. Do you know, like, the problem would be if a local authority didn't sell off all their houses like 1990, 2000, early 2000s, then we won't have this issue. If they was building the amount of properties that they promised to builders each year, then we wouldn't have this issue. But it's supply and demand. Do you understand? I mean, I'm not going to lie. 3 years ago, I was renting out properties in Mansfield for £650. Them same houses now are renting out for £950. Same house, and it's just because it's supply and I could put a property up and it'll be gone just like that. Don't get me wrong, my interest rate, because interest rate has gone up it's gone up tenfold, because it used to be 0.5, it's now 4.5%, so it's gone like 750%. Obviously, what people don't look at that and think, oh, well, the interest rate's gone through the roof. Do you know what I mean? So we have to put out our repayments, what would usually cost me £400 a month, and I can rent out for £600 a month, I'm making £200 a month profit. Now I have to rent out for now it's cost me £700 a month, so I'm renting out for £900 a month. So, and that's just because of interest rate, because the government put the interest rate up. Do you understand what I mean? I'm still making the same amount of profit. And that's just cash flow is what it is.
Yeah, they continue to kind of hammer small businesses and stuff like that, don't they? To just basically, I don't know why they do that, and it annoys me. You're taxed upon taxed upon taxed. Anyway, I'm not
Yeah.
getting into the kind of political side of it because it annoys me that they constantly crack down on the people that are just literally trying to make, not trying to make millions, they're trying to make a better life for yourself so you can
Yeah.
enjoy life. You know what I mean? And that's what I
Oh,
think
definitely.
everyone's trying to do.
That's it. We all want to enjoy life. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think there's anything wrong with people enjoying life if you're willing to put the work in. Do you know what I mean? And you get the benefits of enjoying life as you go along.
Absolutely, Pat. Well, I'll come on to the last question I've got for you, and it is basically, what advice and what tips would you give to anybody that's trying to get into the kind of property game?
For me, anybody trying to get into property, I'd say 100% try your best to get into it, because you cannot go wrong with property. I've got over 100 properties, and none of my properties have I ever lost money on. I may have broke even on a couple of them. I do, when I say a couple, I mean literally 2 or 3. But I would say 98% of them we've made between 20 to 25% profit on our purchase price. That's what we kind of base it on. So how my company works, basically what we originally do, we buy everything. So let's say I buy a house for £65,000, which you can still do in Mansfield, and I buy it for £65,000, and it costs me £10,000 to do the work. So let's say new bathroom, kitchen, a basic refurb. I do the refurb, so I'm in it for £75,000. So Wheeler's Property Solutions have bought it for £75,000. And then after 6 months, I'll go to my broker, and I'll tell my broker it's now worth £100,000. She'll say, "I know it's worth £100,000 because there's 3-4 houses on selling the road within a quarter of a mile for £105,000." So they will send somebody out, a surveyor will come out, survey and say, "Yeah, all right, it's worth £100,000, but we'll only give you a 75% loan to value mortgage," because they're all 75%. So they'll come out and say, "Yep, it's worth £100,000, but we'll give you 75% loan to value mortgage, which is £75,000. I'll say, "Yep, I'll take that. I've got my £75,000 back. This property has now got a mortgage on it. Let's say the mortgage is £650 a month, because I do a thing called repayment mortgages, which I'll generally say 99% of people out there, they would do interest-only mortgages, because you get more of a cash flow. But like I say, I'm not really bothered about the cash flow because we've got a number of houses. And then I just take that £75,000 and I'll put it into another property. I'll just move on forward from there. Now, I understand that 99% of people have not got that kind of money to outlay in property in the first place. So what you will need minimum is 25% of the purchase price to get involved. And then you can do a thing called a bridging mortgage or bridging loan. So bridging loan is old terms and bridging mortgage is a new one, where basically you will purchase a property. Let's say it's £100,000. You've got to put 25% of that property down. No matter what, you've got to put 25% of it down. So whether you borrow off your friend or wherever, or you've saved the money up, you've got £25,000 to put down. And then you also need the stamp duty cost and the refurb cost. So in it, realistically, you're going to need at least £40,000 to get all done. The stamp duty, because the stamp duty is another £5,000, and then the refurb costs another £10,000. So in it, you're in it for £40,000. Then hopefully you do the work to the property, you'll increase the value of the property, and then you refinance the property with that mortgage company. They'll come out, revalue it that day, that month, whatever. Well, I think you've got a 6-month window to do it in, and you can refinance it that way to get your money in and out. But you generally cannot go wrong with property at all. But the main thing is finances first. After you finances, it's a tradesman. Do you know what I mean? Is getting the right quotes. If anybody who's in industry who are good with their hands and can put bathrooms, kitchens, or they've got friends who can do it, you've won 90% of the battle. Or if you've got the money saved up, you've already won 70% of the battle. So you're getting your finances in hand first, and then getting your tradesmen in and after. But yeah, you cannot go wrong with property, and there's no rocket science to it. It's not. Do you understand what I mean? It's just like counting from 1 to 10. But sometimes easier said than done. Do you understand what I mean? You're a fireman. I know if I can, something catches fire in my ass, I'm going to panic. Do you understand what I mean? But you're probably gonna scratch your head for a minute and just, oh, cool, do what I'm doing. Do you understand what I mean? I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown. Well, it's like anything. Do you understand? It's like, do you understand what I mean? It's like anything, because you're happy with your surroundings. You know what you're gonna deal with. And it's just the same with me with property. I just know what I'm dealing with, and I just crack on with it. But it is very basic. Do you understand what I mean? There's no mad rocket science to it. Do you understand what I mean? I just literally want to try and make a minimum of 25% profit on anything I purchase, so I can
Yeah,
get
I
more money
suppose
out.
it's about half the battle's taking that sort of chance, isn't it, as well, and just
Yeah,
take, because like anything in the business world, you've got to take a chance, and that's how
100%.
these people end up as like massive entrepreneurs. But what people don't realize is that for every opportunity they've taken, there's probably 10 opportunities that have gone wrong or failed in the past as well. So yeah, there
Yeah,
is that element of taking the risk and hopefully for the reward at the end of the day, isn't it?
yeah. And that's why I always say no risk, no reward. Do you understand what I mean? It's, unfortunately, people, I'm not saying the property is for everyone, do you understand what I mean? But every job is not for everyone. I don't want 9 to 5. But some people are happy to have that 9 to 5 to grow. The clock at 5 o'clock, they go and have their family time. They've not got a clock on back until Monday morning. Do you understand what I mean? Which is, it's fine. There's times this weekend we had 2 toilets block up with flood. It was bank holiday Monday. One of my staff couldn't get hold of anyone to go and sort the toilets. And I was like, do you understand what I mean? We ended up getting it sorted, like, but it's just little things like that which become stress. So property's not all money, money, money. Of course it's not. Do you understand what I mean? There's sometimes we will take hits, but it's part and parcel of the job, I guess. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, pal. Absolutely. And like I say, there comes like issues with all sorts of businesses and stuff, but it's good. It's good. Like I say, I like to see, I love to have a success story on the podcast, where someone is literally kind of self-made. They've done well through hard work. They've
Yeah,
kind of built a business up, and I just think because it's an important message to give people out there to see. Like I said before, you don't have to, like, school's important, of course, but you don't have to leave school with all singing or dancing grades to make
no,
something of yourself. Because I know this time of year when sort of kids start the GCSEs, there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of suicide surrounding kids going
definitely.
through the GCSEs because of the stress, thinking that if they fail the GCSEs, they're not going to amount to nothing. When in fact, you're living proof in that, and hopefully I am. I've done quite a lot over the years, um, and I've got no qualifications. And the same with you, successful, very very successful business owner. So no, it's been a pleasure, Leroy, chatting to you, and getting an insight into kind of how you operate and how you do what you do. So thank you very much.
No, not a problem. Anytime. Funny you say that about the mental health. I had a friend's son reach out to me. It was he'd written a suicide letter just couple of years ago because he knew he was going to fail his GCSEs and whatnot. And he come to see me and he's like, he explained, and I took him out for a drive in the car and whatnot. And I explained to him, like, I left school with no GCSEs. I've got no, he was like, he couldn't believe it. It was like, no. And he said, but you have to. I said, no, you don't. I said, my son is 5 years old. He's 7 years old now. And I just said to him, as long as he goes to school and he enjoys and he's a polite kid, he's well mannered, he tries his best. That's all I can ask for him. Do you understand what I mean? I would like him to read and write. I'd love him to do his maths and that. Do you understand what I mean? But as long as he tries his best, that's all I can ask for. Do you understand? That means all there's different ways of life to succeed. Do you understand what I mean? Don't put the pressure in. And the kid, he's left school now, he's 18 and a half now. He's bought his first property. And this kid, he made £17,000 from this property. And it's like, wow. Do you understand what I mean? He sent me a bottle of champagne, man. I was like, bless him. Do you understand what I mean? Now he's rocking. He's 18 years old now. And he made £17,500 from a property.
And he's on the
So,
property ladder and everything
yeah,
else. No,
it's a property ladder.
it's an it, mate.
And
It's an massively important kind of message, like you say, because they do put so much pressure on kids to get these grades, and you're going to go to college, and you're going to go, and like it is a little bit more difficult. You'll remember, we're not too dissimilar ages there. You go back when we were young. You could walk into a job. You could get fired from
yeah,
a job on Friday or quit a job on a Friday. You could walk into another job
I'll show
on
up
a
on
Monday
Monday.
through a
100%.
recruitment agency or whatever.
Yeah,
It's a bit more difficult now. I
yeah,
understand, but GCSEs and qualifications at school are not necessarily, they don't make the person, do they? So
no, no, 100% they do not.
no,
100% they do not.
no. Happy
Yes.
days. Right, well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. I will speak with you in a minute off air, but thank you
Okay,
very much
Chris.
for taking the
No
time.
problem.
And I will be picking your brain about the whole property thing as well,
Listen,
because
anytime. Anybody wants to reach out to me, obviously my Instagram's of the Wheeler's Pop Solutions, or it's Leeroy, aka Wheeler, and just drop me a DM, any message you want, and I'll try my best to reply back Monday to Friday. If not, my staff will. But I've got a thing. I love to see people succeed in life. There's nothing better, especially when you start from nothing and then you've made it. Do you understand what I mean? It's just I believe in karma. What you give out in this world, you get back. And so far, it's done me good. And if I can see other people succeed, then I'm happy to help them along the way. But all I know is property. That's all I know. So, you see. So,
no,
yeah.
you know what? It's good that you've got that attitude as well, because there are a lot of people out there. I've encountered it myself with the whole podcasting world, that some people don't want to help you. And my philosophy is very much seen. It's a nice feeling to be able to bring people up with you when something
Yes.
succeeds. If you can help and give some people like advice, or just, I've helped a few other smaller podcasts. My podcasts are not massive by any neck of the woods, but I've helped other smaller podcasts in little tips and hints and bring them up. I think that's nice, is what you're saying there. There's enough people, there's enough kind of love in the world to go around, and
Well,
kind of help each other. It doesn't hurt, does it?
yeah, 100%. I totally agree with you. 100%. Like I say, what you give out in this world, I feel like you get back. I think my dad taught me at a young age, and it's done me good so far. So hopefully it continues in that way.
No, I'm sure it will, Leroy. I'm sure it will. But look, my pleasure, pal. Thank you very
All
much
right,
for taking
Chris.
the time.
Thank you for
You take
invite me on, mate. You too,
Thank
bro.
you very much.
Cheers.